Some of my fondest childhood memories come from coming home from school, dropping my bag and jumping straight into Black Ops 2. Usually to get destroyed in multiplayer and yelled at for sounding like a little kid on voice chat. But sometimes I would hop on something else. Zombies. See, I love Black Ops 2 Zombies, but it wasn't without its issues. With the mess that was Transit, an overpromised, undelivering experience that lacked replayability, followed on by Dire Eyes, a confusing mess with a cast that didn't resonate with players. The Zombies team needed a big break to hook players back into Zombies. And I mean, looking back, these maps are fine, and sometimes I even go back and play them with some friends today. However, Zombies didn't hit its big break till DLC 2 dropped in April of 2013. I mean, most of the DLC was alright, it gave some banger maps like Encore and Studio, but it also gave some mid-tier gimmicky maps like Magma and Vertigo. However, the main hook was the Zombies map, Mob of the Dead. As much as I love Zombies, even as a kid I knew something wasn't quite right. See, Black Ops 2 Zombies actually had quite a rocky launch, and fans weren't pleased. See, the new Zombies maps, they were getting too complicated, too gimmicky, and they were just getting too wide in scope. It felt like that original formula that we found back in 2008 was already getting swept under the rug. That's because we had Jimmy Zielinski. He was the original creator of Zombies, and he stayed for World at War, Black Ops 1 and the start of Black Ops 2. His maps had a very distinct style, and they're all classics, up until the start of Black Ops 2, where it seemed like he wanted a wider scope that fans weren't too pleased with. A lot of his maps, like Transit especially, were just too wide in scope for the PS3 and 360 era hardware as well. They couldn't handle it. With this, something had to change. This is where Jason Blundell comes in. He was a campaign level director, and he was tasked with making a Zombies map. That map was Mob of the Dead, and it released in April 2013, and it was his debut map. And what a debut map it was. Finally, a map for Black Ops 2 that fans were actually satisfied with and excited to play. Zielinski wasn't quite finished yet. He had one more map up his sleeve. That map was buried, and it actually went on to become a fan favourite. Zielinski later left in 2014, leaving Blundell to take the reins, and his vision for Mob came to life, not only in the gameplay, but also in the storytelling. And nowhere is that more clear than in Mob of the Dead's cast and narrative. The story of Mob of the Dead is explained to the player in a very stylish opening cutscene.
We must have been through this 50 times already. And we'll go through it another 50 if that's what it takes. 9:30, lights out. God.
Introducing the player to the four playable characters, Finn O'Leary, Introducing the player to the four playable characters, Billy Handsome, Finn O'Leary, Sal DeLuca, and Al Arlington, otherwise known as the Weasel. Four seedy mobsters looking for a way out of Alcatraz. I think casting real-life mob movie actors was a brilliant move. Their personas instantly matched their seedy, selfish tones of the characters. Actors such as Joe Pantoliano, who played Ralph in The Sopranos.
A, she was a hooah. B, she hit me.
Chaz Palminteri, who played Sonny in A Bronx Tale.
I didn't do anything, I swear, Sonny, please! Don't fucking lie to me!
Michael Madsen, who played Mr. Bond in Reservoir Dogs.
Was that as good for you as it was for me?
And Ray Liotta, who played Henry Hill in Goodfellas.
You think you are Frankie Valli or some kind of big shot?
Slow down, all right? I forgot. I thought it was
A
next.
stacked cast who were perfect for their role, as they felt similar to the characters they played in those movies. The crew hatch a plan to lure the guard over to Weasel's cell to steal his keys, build a plane using parts found around the prison, and go off to freedom. This, however, doesn't quite go to plan, as they thought the plane wasn't stable enough for takeoff, and they also thought that the Weasel was conspiring against them. They made the decision to kill off the Weasel, which ended in their recapture, and the three mobsters were all sentenced to death for the killing of Al Arlington. Upon their death, they find themselves back on that fateful night, not remembering a thing. They try the plan again, only this time when they kill the Warden, he rises again, only this time as a zombie. This is because their souls are in a hellish pocket dimension filled with the undead. They continue to build the plane again, and this time it actually takes off, before crashing on the Golden Gate Bridge. The only way off the bridge is 4 electric chairs stationed on one side of the bridge. Once they sit in the electric chairs, the mobsters are killed off once again, only to restart the cycle. Once they all realise they're stuck in a cycle, they remember that they are actually dead in the real world, and the reason is probably because they killed the Weasel. The three mobsters actually attempt to kill the weasel again, which only continues the cycle. The only way to truly break it is for the weasel to kill off the rest of the mobsters. This frees Al's soul and keeps the other three mobsters trapped in purgatory, repeating the cycle forever. Mob of the Dead is a masterclass in video game storytelling, as it's a story that can only be told through the medium. A game I compare Mob of the Dead to is the original BioShock. This is because neither of them take the player out of the experience, no flashy out of body cutscenes or moments of pause. Both BioShock and Mob of the Dead use visual storytelling to tell the story. It also tells you a little bit of backstory on the characters and what they're thinking and feeling and what their ideals are. It's this charm and personality that I wish we saw in more games, and Mob of the Dead did it perfectly 13 years ago. Other games like Deathloop also did the same kind of thing with death cycles and the focus on keeping the player in control at all times. However, I don't think they did it quite as well as Mob of the Dead did. Mob of the Dead already had an established gameplay loop that the story wove perfectly into. Some of the beauty in Mob of the Dead is the player choice, which is something imperative to the new design Blundell was going for. It's also something that I believe should be more commonplace in zombies today. I'm sick of games like Black Ops 6 holding your hand throughout the whole experience, guiding you to exactly how to do the Easter egg, or other games doing the same kind of thing with red and yellow paint everywhere. Because in Mob of the Dead, players could choose to do the Easter egg and experience the story, or they could play it like classic World at War zombies and just go for high rounds. Something else that highlights that player choice is the new mechanic Afterlife, which replaces the Quick Revive perk. The mechanic is one that elevates gameplay, giving it a new layer of depth and problem solving, while weaving perfectly in the story and not overstaying its welcome. It's a stylistic way to progress through the map while reinventing the way of going down in zombies. You can use it tactically and choose to go into Afterlife by going up to electrical boxes and shocking yourself. This allows you to unlock doors, power perk machines, and do the puzzles, or you can just use it to pick yourself up when you go down. Because the mechanic is on a timer, it gives a very risk and reward element to your gameplay. You can risk turning on multiple perk machines, powering doors and puzzles at the same time, with the big problem being if you let the timer run out, you die. Afterlife also reinvents the way power works in maps, because like in old maps where one power switch would do everything, Mob of the Dead allows you to slowly open and expand the map at your own pace. There is also a lot of side quests people can do to keep players coming back to Mob of the Dead, such as the many wonder weapons, like the Golden Spork, which is an upgraded melee weapon, the Acid Gat, which is an upgrade of the Blunder Gat, and the Hell's Retriever, which is a tomahawk-like weapon that boomerangs back to the player, killing zombies and picking up power-ups. Buildables also saw a massive quality of life upgrade in Mob of the Dead, allowing solo players to hold multiple parts at once. This seems like a really small change, however the pace of the map is so much faster and it feels so much more fluid than older maps. All of these gameplay elements come together in a setting that is just as meticulously crafted, because what really ties Mob together and elevates it is its atmosphere. Something that Mob of the Dead does so right compared to a lot of other games is its visual storytelling. The hellish flames, blood-covered sheets, and bodies covered in rags and blood just adds to the hellish purgatory atmosphere. The art team really nailed the look of making a hellish Alcatraz, and it shows they poured their heart and soul into making something spectacular. Because even for an Xbox 360 era game, it still looks fantastic to me in 2025. All the zombie designs, main character designs, and boss zombie design even look menacing today with their iconic red glow that is only seen in the Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead maps. The reason why the art team did such a good job translating Alcatraz into a playable space, because they actually went there to get an idea of how horrific and cold Alcatraz truly was, taking loads of reference pictures and videos to nail the iconic look we are so familiar with today. There is a really interesting behind the scenes video on the making of Mob of the Dead. You can find it on YouTube now, but it used to be a COD TV exclusive, and I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. Something else to highlight about Mob of the Dead is the sound design that gives it its iconic, unsettling vibe. You can constantly hear lightning, chains, shackles, and that constant fiery ambience throughout the map. With its atmosphere, characters, and gameplay loop firing on all cylinders, it's no wonder why Mob of the Dead left a legacy like it did. Constantly being referenced in future Call of Duties, being remade and expanded upon in Black Ops 4, and even being fan remade in Black Ops 3 in recent years. It's no wonder this map set the bar so high for future zombies to strive for. It also put Jason Blundell on the map for his interesting map design. I'm hoping with the release of Black Ops 7 later this year, they'll go back and look at what made these old maps so great and expand upon it. But even if they don't, we still have maps like Mob to keep playing today. Its interesting style, one-of-a-kind storyline, and ties to real-world history kept me hooked as a child and even still hooked today. From back when I was too frightened to play it on my own as a kid, only reaching around round 4, to constantly playing it with my friends over and over, going for the Easter egg.
One of the blonde caps is shit.
I love Mob of the Dead. Maybe a little bit too much. Thank you all for watching my video on rambling on about Mob of the Dead, but I find it so interesting how something so minute as a DLC on a 13-year-old game in a Watch series can be so dear to us all. So please, keep Mob of the Dead alive and keep playing this absolute masterpiece of a map.